If Twitter and the nonsensical ramblings of your average Discord mod has taught me anything, it's that gamers truly believe that they are oppressed. From microtransactions, battle passes, skin sales, all the way to Judy not wanting to fuck you if you're a man.
Oh, let's go! That's class!
Don't go there, dude.
However, outside of not being able to get one's pickle battered, there is one thing that shatters the soul of a gamer, and it's the promise of something new and exciting, only for it to be more disappointing than a strip club sponsored by Kathmandu. We've had a lot of games in the last 2 years that fit this description, such as The Last of Us 2 and Cyberpunk 2077. Games that, while did have a lot of good to offer, didn't manage to sit well with everyone and left many disappointed. And that is where 12 Minutes comes in. 12 Minutes is a story-rich mystery thriller set within the confines of a time loop. And if that wasn't enough to get your nipples pointing to the horizon, the game also has an all-star cast featuring the Green Goblin, that one British girl everyone hates for some reason, and the dude that won't stop playing disabled people. Yet despite such a promising idea, headed by some of the biggest names in the industry, the game was very poorly received, which leaves the question, where did Zenny's Sex Games video come? Which leaves the question, what happened? There are 3 things that seem to bother people: the tedium of progression, the twist, and the grounding of reality. 12 Minutes has you playing the role of an unnamed man living in his apartment with his wife. You share a dessert, she surprises you with the news that she is pregnant, and you both celebrate with a dance. Moments later, you are interrupted by a police officer, and you are killed after being asked for a watch. This is where the first time loop comes into effect, and where the game truly starts. The goal of the game is never truly clear and fluctuates as you play. The only thing that you know is that dying, it turns out, is bad for you. Using deductive reasoning and effectively using the items within your environment, you're able to delay your death and find out more information within each loop. Now, this is where a lot of players started to get lost. Not in how to progress, but in the annoyance of moving forward. You see, after the first 3 to 5 loops, you end up repeating a lot of the same steps to get to specific situations where you can pry for more information, with the understanding that no matter what you do or whatever information you get, time will reset no matter what, and you will start from the beginning anyway. It's a little hard to put into words, so you know what? Let me just show you. In 12 Minutes, you are always repeating parts of the game. In 12 Minutes, you are always repeating parts of the game that you've already played. In 12 Minutes, you are always repeating parts of the game that you've already played in the hopes of obtaining. In 12 Minutes, you are always repeating parts of the game that you've already played in the hopes of obtaining something new. In 12 Minutes, you are always repeating parts of the game that you've already played in the hopes of obtaining something new. And this happens over and over and over and over and over and over again. You see, each time you discover something new, you have the satisfaction of progressing further, but now, every time the time loop restarts, you have to go through all of those steps you just went through just to get to where you want to be, just so you can try a piece of dialogue that may not even work. This wastes more time and starts your time loop all over again. I played and finished 12 Minutes in 6 hours, yet when it comes to actual content, there's only really an hour's worth of it, if you know what you are doing. And where trial and error is a lot of fun at the start due to you not having to do that much for the story to unfold, the further you progress, the more bullshit you have to go through in order to get to the part of the game you actually want to play. The tedium of progression leaves you unmotivated and you just want the story to be over and done with. And the story is convoluted, to say the least. In any mystery, the thrill of victory stems from the aha moment, where the pieces that were presented to you within the film or game all link together and lead the main character to the final conclusion. In detective shows, the audience and the detective are always on the same page. Both groups hold all of the information, but only the detective is smart enough to put all the pieces together, which leads to the aha moment. The reason a lot of mysteries fail in forms of media is because some form of information is being withheld from the audience and is revealed at the last moment. Now, this is still okay and can work, but only if the detective is discovering this final piece at the same time as the audience. They are just as shocked as the audience. What doesn't work is when the detective goes, well, actually, there is this piece of evidence that I never told anyone that I had the whole time. In this situation, the audience has been cheated out of the opportunity to figure out the mystery before the detective, resulting in an instead of an aha. You were never on the same page as the main character that you've been following throughout the story. You both were sharing the same perspective, excluding the one piece that seemed to matter most. And this is where 12 minutes seems to fail as well. I'm going to try my best to explain the story in the way that the game wants it to unfold. A man accuses your wife of killing her father and is looking for a watch. In the next loop with this information, you manage to get out of your wife that she did indeed kill her father and stole his watch that the cop is looking for. She was mad at him due to him having an affair with her nanny when she was a child, and her mother passed away 2 years after this affair. Living alone with her father, she then grew up, he hit her, and she shot him. She explains that she shot him before New Year's and left and took his watch. In the next time loop, you manage to find out through this supposed cop that he was with her father when he died of a gunshot on New Year's Eve. However, you have a photo of your wife at a party on the other side of the country on New Year's Eve, the same year she assumed that her father died, leading you to the realization that she thinks she killed her father, but he was shot again weeks later and didn't actually die when she assumed him dead. The next goal is simple: find out who killed her father and convince the supposed cop. After many time loops, you find out that the nanny that had an affair with your wife's father was pregnant and had a child. I'm skipping a lot here, but you realize that it was her brother that killed the father, as her father before he died said the word monster to his friend, which is what the wife called the baby that the nanny was carrying inside her after the affair. The father never told his daughter about this supposed brother. After a few more time loops, all the pieces seem to be clicking together. At the beginning of the game, when the wife announces that she's pregnant to you, she says she wants to name the baby after your mother. And the big reveal here is the discovery that the name of the nanny is your mother's name, meaning you and your wife are brother and sister, and you are the one that killed her father. Okay, so there is a lot to unpack here. A detective holding information from the audience leaves a mystery falling flat, and a murderer just forgetting that he is a murderer also leaves a story falling flat, especially when the main character is the stand-in for the detective and the killer at the same time. If the main character never knew that his wife was his sister, this twist might work. However, it is presented that not only did he know who his sister was, who his father was, but also who his mother was. The only reason there is even a mystery to solve revolves around the idea that your character just forgot that you started dating your sister, that you forgot that you murdered yours and her father, but also that you forgot that your mother was a nanny, despite your father sitting you down and telling you that being with your sister is bad. It's one thing for the detective to be withholding the evidence that reveals that the killer was the butler. It's another thing for the detective to be withholding the evidence that reveals that he is in fact the killer, but he just forgot he was the killer the whole time. Also, the detective loves fucking his sister. If they somehow explain how he could possibly forget all of this shit, maybe I'd let it slide. But even then, the only reason he gets with his wife is because of the connection that he knew that they were relatives. She didn't know, but he fucking did. The last thing I want to talk about is the lack of grounded reality that the game upholds. There are a lot of details that the game either leaves out or intentionally fucks up in order to leave you theorizing on how any of this makes any sense. Firstly, the cop and the father share the same voice actor, leading many to theorize that they are the same character, which is a cool theory until you realize that the cop is there about the murder and neither the cop or your wife recognize each other. You'll find a lot of people theorizing trying to make this game make sense, but the smallest amount of logic just leaves the story with more holes than Julius fucking Caesar. Oh, it's all in his head. He didn't kill the father. It's all in his head to prevent him from thinking about how he discovered he's married his sister. Okay, cool. Then how the fuck is there even a game then? We have two characters acknowledging that there was in fact a murder, so that theory doesn't work. Oh, this meeting mystery never happened with his father. Okay, cool. So then who the fuck killed the father? We are now left with no conclusion. Oh, it's all just a therapy session. Okay, so none of this is real? Why should I be invested? When you are left with a mystery so convoluted and baffling, the last thing you need to be doing is introducing concepts like none of it really happened. Like, do you know how insane that is? Because if that's the case, this game was written around the two cardinal sins of story writing. Never end a story with "it was all a dream," and don't have your characters randomly forget heavy plot points without explaining how. This is the same shit that had Game of Thrones fans fuming.
Danny kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet.
12 minutes is a game so excited to leave players shocked that it forgets to link the dots in a mystery desperate for a logical conclusion that never existed in the first place. And understandably, this left a lot of players frustrated, with their only outlets being Steam and Metacritic. And the frustration isn't exclusive to these platforms. You see, if Twitter and the nonsensical ramblings of your average Discord mod has taught me anything, it's that gamers truly believe that they are wait a